recording this stuff too. This is kind of fun. All right, so let's talk about this. The choices you make you. The choices you make you. What does that mean?
It means you're at where you're at now in life because it's the sum of all of the choices you made throughout your life.
I've been thinking about this a lot lately, just with some family situations that are going on and some, working with some people and all of this. And you see where people are, right? And people get frustrated. They say, well, my situation, my circumstances, my whatever, insert excuse here. And in reality, you are where you are today because of choices that you've made in the past. So if you want to be someplace different, then you got to make different choices today. It's like planting seeds, right? So successful people make choices wisely and manage them daily. Make choices wisely and manage them daily. In fact, the most successful people tend to make decisions early. Meaning what?
It means basically like every day I make a decision when I leave my house before I even get into a situation that I'm not going to use. Okay. So I don't wait until I get into that situation to make the decision. I make it beforehand.
Make the decision before the situation pops up?
Right.
Okay. So making decisions early also means when you have a decision in front of you, you don't wait. And this is what a lot of people do, right? They say, well, I got to think about it and I need to figure this out and I need to process all this and so they do really everything they can. The largest percentage of the population does everything they can in order to avoid making a decision.
Is that making it, I hate that word, procrastinating? Is that just putting it off because you're afraid to make the wrong decision?
Yes, very much so. So you're putting it off. You're putting it off to avoid. There's a fear there. If I can avoid making the decision, I'm fearful of making the wrong decision. Matter of fact, this is something that Shay and I have talked about a couple of times because she doesn't like making decisions at all. It comes to where do you want to go eat, right? It's that I don't care. Wherever, right? Yeah, it does. It's a little frustrating in that respect. But it's because what if I choose a place to go eat and then I get there and I eat and it wasn't really what I wanted? What if it wasn't the quality I wanted? And granted, though that is a small decision, that translates to all decisions of life, right? So the vast majority of the population actually prefer for decisions to be made for them instead of for them to make the decisions themselves, right? And so it goes back to, we've talked about it before, the concept of Burger King, right? Burger King says, have it your way. So you could literally walk into Burger King. If you say, I want a bun, I want a piece of lettuce, a piece of tomato, I want a chicken patty, I want a burger patty, I want some bacon on there, throw me some onion rings on top of it, they can do that, right? But they don't do that. Why?
You make the choice.
That would be your choice. They don't do that because the vast majority of people walk in the door and say, I'll have a number 4. Right? They're not really making choices. They're not having it their way. What they're doing is they're having it the way of a menu that's already made up. Right? It even freaks some people out. I mean, if you ever want to freak a Burger King worker out, just walk into the restaurant and say, I need a chicken sandwich with a burger patty on it. What? Right? So yeah, I mean, but they can do that because they have the capability of pricing items individually, and so you can have it however you want it. But just nobody does that, right? And it's because we fear this concept of making decisions in many cases. Well, what if I make the wrong decision? What if I make this choice and it's a very bad choice, and then how can I come back from it? And it goes back to the reality that most people understand that the choices you make you. But there's a blame factor involved in that too, right? So what happens is the choices you make you, but in many cases, people want to blame their situation, their circumstances, their surroundings, other people. They want to blame everything else except for themselves and their choices, right? If you want to be in a better place, make better choices. If you want a better result, make better choices. So successful people make choices wisely and manage them daily. What do I mean by managing them daily?
I would think that the choice that you make, you're going to make sure that each day that the choice that you did make, like say for instance, if you want to work out, okay, if I choose to work out for this week, I'm going to manage the workout by eating right, get enough sleep so I can be up on time, and do the proper things in order to make sure that the choice that you made, you get that you get the right results.
Okay.
And follow through.
And follow through.
Yeah.
Okay. So the challenge here is what most people don't understand. Choices define us more than abilities. Choices define us more than abilities. Meaning what? Your choices will show who you truly are way more than your abilities will. Why?
Because you can be able to do tons of stuff, but you make the wrong choice and you're doing nothing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So doing the wrong things, making the wrong choices can define you. You know, one of the most frustrating things for me in business, and it's been horribly frustrating for years, because I'll get somebody in, you hire somebody, you bring them on board, and you get all excited about them, and all right, this is a new family member, and we're ready to get rolling, and I'm excited, and look at all this potential, and everything else. One of the most frustrating things for me is unrealized potential. Then you look at a person, you say, wow, he or she they have so much potential. It's so exciting. Look at all this they have the possibility of being able to do. Look at all of the abilities that they have. But then they choose to not do the work, right? They choose to not do the things, right? Their choices lead them to making the wrong decisions. So in that case, your potential or your abilities mean absolutely nothing if you're not going to make the choices to do something with those potential or abilities, right? So your choices will define you much more than your abilities. In fact, a person making the right choices can easily outperform a person with lots of abilities that may not be making the right choices. Been thinking about this a lot lately, as I said. The ideal of people that make choices in their life. They decide to do things that they think, oh, this could turn out well. But the reality of it is many of us make choices based on a skewed view of life, right? So we make choices based on this skewed perspective, right? And it's because our perception becomes our reality. Our perception becomes our reality. And so if I have a flawed perception, what does that mean about my reality? I have a flawed reality, right? So when my perception is flawed, my reality becomes flawed too. And that's a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge for a lot of people, because a lot of people look at that and think everything's going to be okay. I can make this choice and I'm not really worried about consequences, right? But then consequences happen, and reality, the real reality, becomes real to them, right? So the real reality becomes real to them. So their reality goes back because of the negative consequences and alters their perception. And this is how we build things like entitlement mentality and victim mentality and blame mentality and those kinds of things. Because I've chosen to look at the world in a way that doesn't really exist. And so when that reality smacks me around, I have to choose to look at the world in a way that is not my fault. Ouch, that hurts, right? Ouch, that sure hurts. So when I think about what this means, when I think about what it means, I think number one, my choices have shown me myself. Meaning what? My choices have shown me myself. Meaning what? Okay. The true you. Okay.
Well, I think your choices show you what you believe about yourself a lot too. Yeah. Because people who don't walk in the truth of God and what God believes about them make skewed choices based on that. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. Like I used to when I was going through my addiction and all that codependency, I used to make choices based on the fact that I thought I needed love from a man to be complete and whole. And that was, I mean, I made bad choice after bad choice after bad choice because of that. So it finally took me coming to a realization. You know.
Sure. And so then that goes back to that perception and reality, doesn't it? When I'm in touch with reality and my perception shows me what reality is, then ultimately my choices will show me myself, meaning my choices will show me who I really am, right? Number two, my choices were not easy. Meaning what? Remember what we said about Burger King and have it your way, right? What do you spend most of your time at the restaurant doing? Especially a restaurant like Cheesecake Factory. Yeah. It's simple. It's simple when we think about it at a restaurant like Cheesecake Factory. There's 200 items on the menu. What am I supposed to decide? You got way too much. Look, if you could give me some cheesecake and some Guthrie's chicken, I'm good to go. Because I don't have to make choices at Guthrie's chicken. Do I want it in a box? Do I want it on a plate? Chicken. It's chicken. I don't have to worry about it, right? It's not my concern. Now, I can narrow it down between 27 different kinds of cheesecake, right? But I don't have 200 other items that I'm looking at. Okay? So see, and again, it's easy when we think about it from a restaurant standpoint, but we forget that we make choices in life every single day. You made a choice to get out of bed this morning, right? You made a choice, hopefully, to brush your teeth this morning, right? Some choices come easier than others, hopefully for some people, I'm just saying. But the reality of it is that we make choices all day long, every day. And so most of those choices are not easy choices to make. You know? As a parent, I made a choice to become a parent. Right? Make a choice to get married. These are not easy choices. So understanding that choices are not supposed to be easy, the right choices are not always supposed to be easy. Now, what can we do to make choices easier?
Discover your purpose.
Discover your choices? Okay.
Because then if something doesn't align with your purpose, then you know, no, thank you, moving on to the next. I think it makes it a lot easier when you know why you're here.
Discover your purpose. In order to discover your purpose, you have to discover what? Priorities. Okay, that's part of it. Purpose helps define priorities, and priorities help define purpose. So those are interrelated. But what else do you have to know?
I would would say your identity, who you are.
Your identity, who you are. Okay, what do you have to know to be able to identify yourself?
Well, know what makes you up as a Christian. Okay, I know that who I am is because of who I am to God.
Okay, but that's a cheap answer based in religion.
Well, just
Who I am is based on who I am, who in God. That's like I said, not to sound overly confrontational, and not to saying that I don't agree with you. I do agree with you, but that's a cheap answer based in our religion. I have to know who I mean, it's a circular argument. The circular argument says I have to know, in order to know my identity, I have to know who I am in God. So who am I in God? Well, it's my identity that God gave to me. Well, who is that? Well, it's God gave me this identity and created me. It's a never-ending circular argument. The easiest way to figure that out, by the way, is to start looking at your core values. Okay? Because as a spiritual person myself and a believer in God, I believe that God puts these core values within us to help us be able to make our choices and also help us define who we are. It's our core values, by the way, that also lead us. It's part of what leads us to our purpose. It's part of what leads us to our calling. It's also between our core values and our strengths. It's what shows us what it is that we have the capabilities of doing. That goes back to my abilities, right? But if I start with core values, then it's pretty simple, right? If I start with core values, it's pretty simple. My 3 major core values, okay, the same ones that we use here at the company, right? My 3 major core values are loyalty, integrity, and focus on growth. Loyalty means what?
be loyal and you sold out to the main purpose.
You can't define a question with the same answer as the question. That's 7th grade right there. Well, what does loyalty mean? Well, you're loyal. The same thing Denise said. Without using the word loyal, define loyalty.
Well, I would say loyalty is that, of course, I'm just repeating what you said.
Right.
With the word loyalty, is that you're committed to the main purpose. That regardless of whatever happens, you're going to be committed to it. You're
Okay.
going to be there. You're going to show
Okay.
up when
Loyalty includes commitment. That's commitment that you're defining. So it includes commitment. Do what? Being faithful to the cause or to the people that you're with. Okay. Loyalty says, I've got your back and you've got mine. That's what loyalty says. Loyalty says, when it gets hard, I'm not about to abandon you. When times get tough, whether it's in my personal life, whether it's in my business life, when times get tough, I'm here. Right? That's what loyalty says. Loyalty says that things will come up. The grass will look greener at different spots. Other issues will happen. Bad things will come up in our life. Challenges will happen. But that's okay because I am here. That's loyalty. Right? Loyalty says that when you're struggling with those issues that you got somebody that you can talk to that's not judging you as a person, but is judging the situation and offers assistance in how to get through that. They use their gifts and abilities to help you. That's what loyalty really means, right? So it's not just, okay, well, I believe in this, so therefore. I mean, again, that's I call it half-cheat Christians in many of our faith, is the fact that people want to say they're believers, but they don't want to do anything about it. You're not showing any loyalty to Jesus Christ. You're not showing any loyalty to your faith or to your religion just to say, I believe in Jesus. What does the Bible say? Faith without works is dead. Loyalty says He asked me to do something, therefore I do it because I trust Him. That's what loyalty says. Now you see why loyalty is a big thing for me. What about integrity? What's integrity?
doing what you say when you say you do.
Doing what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. So there's that consistency there. There's honesty. Honesty is a part of integrity, right? Don't lie. Don't look at somebody and tell them a lie, right? There's integrity. Integrity and integer have the same root word, right? So integer means a whole number. Integrity means that I'm whole, Okay, so I'm physically, I'm spiritually, I'm emotionally whole. That's really what integrity means. It means that I'm not going to separate myself by saying something and doing something different, because that's a separation. That's not whole. It means that I'm not going to separate myself by looking at you and saying, "Hey, here's one thing," and then going out and doing something else. It's not stabbing somebody in the back. Right? Integrity means doing what is right, even if it's hard to do. Especially when it's hard to do.
And it also means when nobody's looking. Yeah.
When nobody's looking. A tree falls in the forest, does it still make a sound, right? Of course it makes a sound. Just because you can't hear it don't mean it don't happen. Just because you didn't see it doesn't mean it didn't happen. Right? What about focus on growth? What does that mean? Continue to evolve as a person. Okay. And don't think you know it all. Absolutely. You'll never know it all. It's not possible. You know, it's the truth in life, in the universe as a whole, is when you stop moving forward, you start moving backward. There is no such thing as standing still. There's no possibility of standing still. You're either learning something or losing something, right? You're either growing or you're dying. It's what happens all the time, right? I mean, you think about your cells. You're either making new cells or the ones you have are disintegrating, right? So we're either integrating or disintegrating in that concept. Meaning, so therefore, if I'm not moving forward in everything that it is that I do, in the areas of my strength and the areas of my need, then I'm moving backward in those particular areas. And if I ever stop focusing on growing myself, then others will outgrow me, right? And that's how people become dinosaurs, right? So there's that. Right, you can't get comfortable. In fact, you have to get comfortable in being uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Right? Get out of that comfort zone, as we've learned, right? So you have to do those kind of things. And so when I say my choices were not easy, my choices were not easy for the longest time, but once I started defining my core values, my choices became much more easy. You see? Because now, today, I look at every choice that I make and I put it against those three main core values that I have. Does it violate my integrity? Does it violate my loyalty? And is it doing anything other than focused on growth? And if the answer is yes to any one of those three things, the answer is no to that opportunity. Right? So it's pretty simple. So the choices were not easy until they became easy as I identified who I am, as I identified what are my non-negotiables in life, what's important to me. Right? There's lots of times that I can do things. I can do lots of things for the money. Money's easy. Right? But the question for me is it about the money? No, it's not about the money. You know, I had somebody a month ago come to me and offer me a $750,000 a year salary to come and work for them. $750,000 a year. Can you imagine that? That's tough. But I said, okay, are there any integrity issues with it? Well, there's a potential for integrity issues because of what they would want me to do. There's a potential, but no definite. All right. Is it focused on growth? Well, yeah, it's focused on growth. Is it going to grow me and my family? Well, of course, it could grow me and my family. Is it going to be used to grow others? Well, probably so. Okay, good. Is it loyal? No. Because in order for me to take that opportunity, then I would have to get rid of all of my friends and my family here. Right? So there's no loyalty there. So what was my answer? No, absolutely not. Sorry. Moving on. It's not worth the dollars. Dollars are easy to make. Right? So, do what? Love of money is dangerous. And in many cases, what happens is we have love of money without recognizing that we have love of money. We want to base that concept of love of money in I need security, I need stability, I need my family, I'm worried about this and this and this. And so we forget that love of money is the root of all evil, but God bases us not in the love of things, He bases us in the love of Him. Right? All right, so number 3, the choices I make changed who I am. The choices I make change who I am. Meaning what?
Well, they can be negative and positive.
Okay. Meaning what?
Way, meaning that, okay, I chose to get up this morning. Chose to, like you said, bathe, brush my teeth, put my clothes up, and be at work. Bad choice would be, chose not to get up, chose not to come to work, chose not to call in.
Mm-hmm.
So, that can be bad and good depending on the choices that you make, that drive you.
Okay. Every time you make a choice, it changes a little part of you, right? Every time you make a choice, it changes a little part of who you are. I mean, think about it like going down a path, right? So you're going down this path, and the path forks. You can go left, you can go right. Which do you choose? Let's say you go left, but you didn't go right. So there's a change in that direction, right? You get a little further down that path, and maybe there's a couple of forks at that particular point. Well, now you can choose again. And so, like going down a path or going through a maze, there are many different options that we can choose in life. But what happens is each time I make a choice, it changed who I am. In other words, it reminds me of those old books they used to have, Choose Your Own Destiny books, right? You ever read any of those? Those were fun books because you get to a particular part in the book and it would offer you a decision. And so it would say if you choose this, then turn to page whatever, and if you choose this, turn to page whatever, which is really cool because then you turn to that page and the story would continue, right? And so you built the ending of the book throughout the book as you're making these different choices. And every time you read the book, you can make different choices at different spots and the book would end different every time, right? So it's a lot of fun. Well, our life is a lot like that particular book. In other words, we have blank pages that are waiting to be written, and our choices today are what's filling those pages tomorrow. Our choices today are changing who I am tomorrow. They're not just changing who I am now. In many cases, the choices that you make today aren't necessarily changing who you are today. Because it's seeds, right? Every seed has a germination period before you reap a harvest thereof. So that being said, I have to go through that germination period after I make a choice before the consequence actually hits me. Again, before my perception becomes a reality. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. All right. So in choosing my choices, number one, my standards for me have to be higher than others set for me. My standards for me have to be higher than others set for me. I can't set my standards higher for me than others do if I'm not in tune with what's important to me. If I'm not in tune with my values, then I am subject to somebody else's values. Number two, helping people is more important than being happy. Helping people is more important than being happy. Why? Okay. You can have everything in life you want if you help enough other people get what they want. Okay.
Well, I was going to say too, helping people is more important than being happy. Now, if you're helping people and you do a good job, then you're going to be happy.
Okay. See, the problem is most people focus on the word happy. Most people focus on the word happy. I need to be happy. I need to be happy. I need to be happy. As though there is some sort of external stimuli that actually makes you happy. There is no such thing as an external stimuli that makes you happy. $1 million ain't going to make you happy. Okay? A new hot tub ain't going to make you happy. A pool ain't going to make you happy. There is no external stimuli that makes you happy. Happiness is a choice. It is not a result. Okay? So since happiness is a choice and not a result, helping people, when I choose to help others, my result is more often than not happiness inside myself. Right? So if I'm helping people, as Kevin said, you can have everything in life you want if you help enough other people get what they want. In other words, if I have things that I want and I focus on helping people, then I am blessed. By stewarding my time and resources, I am blessed with those things that I want. But if I don't steward my time and resources in the service and benefit of other people, then ultimately what happens is my blessing does what? Disappears. Right? It's more blessed to give than to receive. Yes, and you have to receive in order to be able to give. This is something that a lot of people forget, because a lot of people give and give and give and give and give, and they forget that they have to receive, right? You can't give what you don't have. If you don't have it, you can't give it. So therefore, what I need to do is I need to focus on both the giving and receiving, but I need to give first before I expect to receive, which is completely opposite of what the world tells me. The world tells me that I need to receive before I even think about anyone else. That's called entitlement mentality, right? And so until I give of my resources, until I give of my time, until I give of my money, until I give of my gifts and talents and strengths to others, there should be no expectation that I will receive. Because like I said earlier, in the law of sowing and reaping, you have to plant a seed and then wait for the germination period to follow through before a harvest can come. There is no such thing as a harvest without time. So I have to take, as the farmer, I have to take the first action by planting the seed and then just wait, right? So I have to help people, and then my harvest of happiness can come. Until I help people, I will never truly be happy. When I am selfish, I cannot be selfless, right? Selfish takes the world and turns it into being all about me. But as creatures, we are born of relationship. So therefore, the only way to be happy is to be in relationship with others. And the way we create happy is by helping other people. Number 3, my focus will be on the present. Now, I'm not saying don't have vision for the future. That's actually quite the opposite of what I'm saying. Okay? You always should have vision for the future, but as a leader, you have to know what to stand for, and you have to know what you will stand up to. Okay? Until you know what you stand for and what you stand up to, then you cannot make a good choice in the present. So that being said, the choices that you make today in the present will determine who you become in the future. You are choosing your own destiny at that particular point. You can choose to get closer to your calling, or you can choose to get further away from your calling. You can choose to help more people, or you can choose to help fewer people. But what I do today directly affects my tomorrow. And so I need to be focused on making the right choices today because of my vision for tomorrow. In other words, if I have a vision that's up here, I need to make choices that will lead me here. Right? But if my vision is up here and I make choices that are taking me away from that.
That's why it's so important to have people that you trust and respect and look up to in every single choice you make, not to make it by yourself. Like, you have to talk to the people every single time you make a choice to make sure you're aligning with your vision for your life, and everybody's vision for their life is different. So, I mean, you got to have that one, couple people that know what you're going for, and you got to run it by them. You can't make choices on your own. It never works out, or it hasn't for me in the past whenever I've done that.
Choices made without the assistance of others and without looking at who I am, my values, what's important to me, what's my purpose. without looking at those kind of things, you'll almost always make the wrong choice.
Absolutely.
Does this make sense? Pat Riley said, excellence is the gradual result of always striving to do better. The gradual result of always striving to do better. Choices you make you.